Hey, we're here in Brighton, one of Britain's most famous seaside towns, home of the Brighton Pier, and also a progressive stance in how we should treat drug abuse. So what better place to have a special Breaking the Taboo event than here? Now, with some really important people inside, so we thought we'd ask, how do you end the war on drugs? What would that world look like? Let's go find out.
Basically, we have a drugs policy which criminalises young people, that treats addiction as a criminal offence rather than as a health problem. And the way we solve that, I think, is by just building as many people as possible, building that voice to say to politicians that the current system isn't working.
The more and more we can inform the public about the negative impact of the war on drugs, then the more they'll be informed and not have this very face value, drugs are bad, I don't want my kids to take drugs, therefore they should be illegal. Which is not the way that one should think about it. The more and more you get into it, the more and more educated you get, the more you realise that a holistic approach, a more harm reduction approach, a more medical approach is actually 10 times better for the well-being of the people taking the drugs and also society as a whole.
The cost of the numbers of people who are in prison solely because of feeding a drugs habit is enormous, and we know that it costs a huge amount to society to keep them in prison. If we were to change that around, if we were to make drug addiction a health problem rather than a criminal justice one, we would save a huge amount of money, and as more important in a sense as well, we would also, I think, improve people's well-being immeasurably.
The idea that we still give $320 to $400 billion a year into the hands of organised crime to spend that on prostitution, trafficking, guns, violence, all sorts of illicit activities that eke its way into this fabric of society and ruin the way that we operate on this planet is awful. And I would like to see that source of revenue taken out of the hands of criminals and potentially put back in society.